Alright, I'm back. I know. Stopped again. I'm gonna should probably look into doing my cable package. I have company always is offering faster and faster, better internet. I haven't done it for a year. Probably should see. So what happens is they offer everyone faster internet for a higher price, and that means the people that are below them that don't buy it suffer because their internet speeds will go down faster. So that I get annoyed. So I don't like running out and buying the faster service because it's just a cycle. And you buy that, and then in another year they're like, "Oh, we have an even faster one," and you get screwed in the meantime. Yeah, like the phones. Do you guys ever get any like bad fires in Saudi Arabia? I know the desert probably doesn't catch on fire a lot, but in the towns and stuff because it's dry, so dry there. Or is everyone pretty competent with their fires there? I have problems with mist and sandstorms only. How how bad is it if you're out and you're caught in a sandstorm? Is that like just automatic? You're gonna die, or are you fine? I don't know anything about sandstorms except what you see in like random movies. Is there just danger from inhaling sand? You're not gonna see anything. What happens to what happens to a city when it gets hit with a sandstorm? I know like Beijing gets covered up. Or it gets some big sandstorms sometimes, and their desert there is growing. Um, like here, we have towns that get covered with snow, but they've got snow plows and snow blowers. They get the snow out. I feel like sand would be harder to get out of the city. And then snow. The snow even will eventually turn into water. What do you guys do for if the city is like covered with sand? You guys have just go out with shovels or some sort of sand blower, like a leaf blower, you just blow it out. And this, I've asked a bunch of questions. I'm sure you have to type, but the other one is like, do cities get covered with like inches of sand or feet of sand like we get? Um, and the Sierra Nevadas recently had like 12 feet of snow drop on them. You can imagine what 12 feet of sand would be like. We don't do that. And cities don't cover only Far Road. They have deserts around them. Wow. 3 to 5 meters. That is a lot of sand. Jeez. How long does it take for them to clear the road if they have that much sand? Jeez. A month usually? Is there a certain time of year where those sandstorms are more prevalent? Or do they happen like year round? most most of it's random. On YouTube, I'll watch like, what's up, Bowser? First time seeing you in a few days. But the biggest one happened once a year. Talking about sandstorms in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East. How crazy they are. Anyways, on YouTube, I see like different stories about old old towns being swallowed up by the desert and being almost perfectly preserved in the sand. There was one video, I forget what the town was, but it was all about a city of giants that was like a legendary city of giants that was written about, um, that was covered up in the sand. And there was a story in the story. It's one of those things where a random traveler stumbles across what may be the ruins of this ancient giant city for giants. It was interesting. But those stories always end with either the person can't remember where this city was, never was able to go back, or like some government official showed up and ran them away from the city and confiscated all their footage. Which I know can happen in China. China would confiscate footage. We were there, you know, you'd have digital cameras, but you would still take like pictures to be developed. And if you let them have your camera to develop pictures, anything that looked bad would automatically, they would delete and throw away from your camera. So like if you had a picture, let's say you took a picture and the street had a lot of trash in it, they would get rid of that picture. So you couldn't take a picture of dirty Chinese streets home with you. Chinese government's very, very strict on what photographs can and cannot get out. My understanding is the only reason that there's footage of Tiananmen Square massacre was because the photographer was able to hide his film roll in the toilet in his like room and go back and get it later. But getting that footage out of China was a trick. When I was a kid living in China, we had um, a friend of a friend had a DVD with footage of Tiananmen Square. They were distributing to people, and the government found out. So they arrested him, arrested our friends, ransacked their house, and came to our house. And we weren't home when they came by, but they went through our house and just took whatever they wanted. They took my Beatles album. I had a Beatles CD. We were looking for religious material as well as like footage of Tiananmen Square, which we didn't have. We didn't have that with us. But I think either somebody that was one of the police officers really liked the Beatles, or they took my album because it was a Help album. So it said Help on it. So maybe they thought that that was some sort of religious stuff, so they took that. I hope they enjoyed it. And it's funny is they took that one. I had another Beatles CD that had the song Revolution on it. Like, say you want a revolution. But in that song, it's got a part that talks about Chairman Mao and carrying pictures of Chairman Mao. And that one would have been problematic if they had taken that one and had listened to it. They would have had a more of a case against us because it would have been up like, oh, you're like talking bad about Chairman Mao. You're in trouble. This Communist Party still. I don't know if today. It's been a couple decades since I've been there, but then the Communist Party was still very much like you can't say anything about Chairman Mao. Nothing bad. Only good things. Because Chairman Mao only did good things. Let me get one more set. 50. I was at a dinner when I was 17. Me and my brother, who was 16, we went on a tour of China by ourselves. We lived in the south in Hainan, but me and my brother wanted to go up to a friend in Mongolia, Inner Mongolia. So we got to travel by ourselves. Like we got on the train. We spent some time in Shanghai, spent some time in Beijing, and then went to Baltol in Inner Mongolia. And we were having dinner, and there was a communist, like high-ranking communist official there, and he does, starts the dinner with a toast to Chairman Mao, and I was less than enthusiastic in joining in on the toast. And I didn't make a big scene. I just didn't raise my glass up very high. And he saw it, and he asked me like how I felt about Chairman Mao. And this guy could make some real trouble for me and my brother. Like if he wanted to, he could easily have us arrested, easily confiscate our money. I mean, he's a party member. There's a lot that he could do if he wanted to, or if we gave him reason to. And so he asked me, how I felt about Chairman Mao, and thought about it, and was like, oh, I don't want to lie, and I don't want to pretend that I'm a fan of Chairman Mao. So I just asked him, hey, so well, how do you feel about President Bush? Because Bush was the president at the time, and out of courtesy, he couldn't say anything bad about President Bush, but he also couldn't say anything good about him, so he couldn't answer my question. So because he couldn't answer my question, I didn't have to answer his, and he just smiled and dropped the subject, which was really, really nice because it was tense there for a moment. And if you get arrested in China, there's pretty much very little the government, U.S. government, can do for you. And they can just say they could say, oh, they were intoxicated and they, did damage or something. They could say whatever they wanted, and everybody in the room but also like bear witness against you. No one would have stood up to that guy and be like, no, they never did anything bad. If he was like, you know, whatever they say goes when you're there. So if you travel to China, better keep in mind who's in control. So don't do something suspicious. Yeah, don't do anything suspicious. Be polite. I will say though, you can, for the most part, you're incredibly safe traveling in China, especially if you do know party members. I would say that nothing. You don't lose anything by being friends with party members if you travel there. But I've heard it's changed a little bit. But when I was there, uh, people left Americans alone. It would be very bad for a Chinese person that wasn't like a party member connected to do anything to Americans or Canadians or any foreigners. If you bothered foreigners in China at that time, you're asking for a lot of trouble. The Chinese government has a lot of control, which keeps crime from being a huge problem when you travel there. Oh, yeah, I didn't realize how much time had gone by. I was going to do first rows, but I'm out of time. So I talked too much this time. All right, well, thank you guys for coming. Hope you have a good rest of the holiday there, Ramadan, and things go good for you. And have fun. Thanks for coming by, Bowser. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Bye.